YouTubers, BitTubers, BitShooters, wherever you're watching this transmission, it is I, Mike Martins. Here you go. U.S. home starts to exceed forecasts, permits highest since 2007. I actually looked into this. I really did. I took a good 40 minutes to an hour looking into this. Looking at permits, believe it or not. And what I found was very interesting. Permits for new projects, developments, builders, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards, private, public, whatever is going on, right? I found out that a majority of the building permits for homes a majority of them are coming from Alabama, North South Carolina, Louisiana, North South Dakota, Wyoming. They're coming from basically central eastern United States. Texas is up there too, with building permits, build permits. You can still pick up a piece of land in the States for like 12 grand, 16 grand, 30 minutes outside of a major city. You can still do it, right? United States isn't tied to 4 or 5 major cities. United States has a couple of hundred major cities, where in Canada we have 5 or 6, right? And I brought this up a couple of times. And trends in the housing market, I kept bringing up Texas has more major cities than all of Canada put together, right? Maybe all of Canada and half of Australia. I think Texas still has more major cities. So, what's going on? Well, permits are being more issued there. Why? Because people are leaving the West Coast. Anywhere from Washington State all the way to the bottom, don't believe anything they're telling you. Supply and demand, we need to build more. That's a bunch of crap. The amount of money that's being laundered into the Western United States to keep those states afloat, using housing, pegging housing as basically a way to keep their GDPs or those states going strong, but by just allowing a lot of shenanigans to happen in the housing market. Now, we're seeing permits highest since 2007. This is a major deal. Because 2007 was when everyone was going nuts back in the U.S. Property was on fire. People buying. People selling their place in line on a pre-built. Things like that. Crazy amounts of money being thrown around. But now, permits are reaching 2007 levels. Could it be danger? No. I honestly think, wholeheartedly, in my opinion, a lot of it has to do with the resettlement or housing refugees or housing migrants that just can't afford to live in the West Coast. Don't believe when they tell you, it's the tech side, it's tech workers and tech are bringing up the pricing. No, it's not. Seattle right now is sitting on about 20-30% empty units. You have no idea how bad it is, and a lot of it traces back to corporate entity numbers, and that's the dangers right now we're facing. With the great American buyout. I think America will eventually, in time, get bought out. It's slowing down now that Trump's in office, so things have been slowing down quite significantly. But they're still catching up from the previous administrations with the empty homes and money laundering and shadow flipping and all the shadow lending and secondary and tri lenders and stuff. Too much Mickey Mousing. Now, construction of new U.S. homes increase more than the forecast of November, and permits to build climbed to 12-year high, and the housing market strengthened amid low mortgage rates, solid job growth, and optimistic buyers and builders. Residential starts rose 3.2% of the 3-month high, 1.37 million annualized rate after an upwardly revised 1.32 million pace in the prior month, according to the government figures released Tuesday. Permits, a proxy for future construction, increased 1.4% to the annualized 1.48 million pace. Key insights: the data indicate residential construction may add to fourth quarter growth after contributing in previous quarters in the first time since the end of 2017. Demand has been fueled by mortgage rates near a 3-year low, and the job market remains resilient, and wage gains help to put money in pockets of potential homebuyers. Construction of one-family homes rose to the highest since January, while permits for those dwellings increased to the highest level since July 2007. The positive reading corroborate other housing data, home builders sentiment soared than 20-year high in December. The latest consumer sentiment gauge from the University of Michigan, also shown an index of measuring home buying conditions, rose to a 5-month high in December. Upcoming data this month are forecast to show existing home sales, which comprise the vast majority of transactions, and new home purchases were little changed in November. Groundbreaking for the multifamily category, which tends to be volatile and includes apartment buildings and condominiums, increase to a 3-month high, while permits also rose. So I saw a lot of permits actually going for a lot of these multifamily units and stuff in Kentucky, Alabama, and stuff like that. So a lot of people are becoming more and more centralized and moving away from the expensive states, right? The median forecast on Bloomberg survey of economists called for the starts to raise in 1.35 million pace from previously reported 1.31 million in October. 2 of the 4 regions posted gains in the start, led by jump of the South. In the South, of the fastest pace since March 2007. Starts in the West also advanced. I don't believe that. In the West, maybe in the East, Southeast, yeah, but not in the West. About 188,000 homes were authorized, but not yet started, and most since February, indicating a growing backlog for home builders. The report, produced jointly by the U.S. Census Bureau of the Department of the Housing of the Urban Development, has a wide margin for error, with a 90% chance that the headline figure between 68% decline and a 13.2% increase. So, guys, what's happening in the U.S.? There's a lot of housing migrants, again, leaving. A lot of housing migrants that lived in, I was speaking to someone on the show, this was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, that live in Tijuana, Mexico, and they travel and they walk across the border every day and get their car at the park stop and go to work every day in the United States, but live in Mexico. And they save money, and they're going to save enough money, and they said they're going to buy it. Now they messaged me recently, a couple of weeks back, and they're going to buy something in West Texas. That's what they're looking at, West Texas right now. So it's very interesting to see what's happening in the United States. Price of housing will continue to slightly increase coming in 2020 in the first all quarters. Jobs, wages, but, realistically, affordability is still there in the United States. And a lot of people are like, well, Mike, people make $6 an hour. If you know how to budget, you understand how much you spend. It's not how much you make, it's how much you spend that makes or breaks you. When you could buy an entire shopping cart full of food for like $35, $40 in some states, you should be budgeting and doing things right so you could actually get ahead, especially get way ahead when you're not paying as much as the rest of the country is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Canada, this is a pipe dream. This buying a piece of land for 17 grand and building a house, that's a pipe dream in Canada. Unless you go up to the Northwest Territory, somewhere like 500 miles east of Whitehorse or something in the middle of nowhere, maybe you might get something, but Canada is a pipe dream now. So is Australia and the UK, and so is New Zealand. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Looking forward to reading your comments. If you're in the United States, are you a housing migrant? Did you leave California like Walking Journey did? Check out the Walking Journey channel. How he left California. I calls it Mexifornia. Let me know. Comment below. Thanks for watching.